It's a great day in SimWorld, everybody. Good morning and welcome to SimWorld Today. I'm B-Ron. Alongside me is my co-host Siege this morning. Good morning, old friend. How you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Great day to wake up and have a day. So I'm excited to jump right into it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Let's have a day, shall we? Look, SimWorld Football League free agency is day two behind us now. And it was a really big day full of signings and trades and that kind of stuff. A lot of big moves went down. I know me and Marsh the other day spoke about some of the more intriguing, interesting moves that we saw on the first day. But now I want to know from you what your favorite move from day two was. And this is an excuse for me to talk about the Ravens signing Derrick Henry. So I'm gonna leave with that. Derrick Henry signed a 2-year deal with the Ravens, and I think that this is going to be a big move that pays dividends pretty much right away. Ravens lost Gus Edwards in free agency, going to the Chargers, join them, and this is how you replace a guy like Gus Edwards. And if you're also unsure about the health of J.K. Dobbins, buy yourself some time a little bit and get a guy like Derrick Henry who can still play at a really high level in the SWFL. No question about that in my mind. What about you, though?
Well, I think one of the first signings I would have brought up is the same one you did. Derrick Henry's my guy. I really like this signing, especially when you talk about not just fit in terms of the way he plays, because I mean he can get it done. He still can. He may not be quite the Derrick Henry he used to be, but he really hasn't
Mhm.
fallen off that far. I think people over exaggerate that sometimes. But you're talking about pairing him with Lamar Jackson, so you're talking about two of the hardest guys to get down on the ground for two reasons. Derrick Henry, he's the size of my car. And Lamar Jackson's one of the more elusive guys in the league. So when you talk about that read option coming out of Baltimore now, it's just a scary thing. And so I really like
Yeah.
that signing for them. But another signing I'm really big on, and I'm big on everything this team has done in free agency so far. Daniil Hunter for the Houston Texans. He's a perfect fit. They get to pair him with another really great pass rusher, but a really young one in Will Anderson Jr. There could be
Hmm.
some mentoring there. And all mentoring aside, just on the field results, those two were animals. Add them with the Nico Autry, another guy that the Texans signed, and you put them under a defensive mastermind in D'Amico Ryans. I mean, he was a hell of a player himself when he played. So I just really like it. They lined up the length of the deal when they're probably going to have to reset CJ Stroud's deal. So I mean they just nailed it. They nailed it with that signing. I really like it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, 100%, 100%, man. And there's some other favorite ones that I like. I'm not gonna talk about the other in division ones like Patrick Queen going to the Steelers and Geno Smith going to the Bengals. But I do like Saquon Barkley going from the Giants to the Eagles, staying in division over there, and now he'll get to run against the Giants. That'll be fun to see how that goes. And then of course the other one, Aaron Jones from the Packers to the Vikings. Again, staying in division, the rivalry revenge factor is always something that's gonna be interesting to me and seeing how that works because especially with a guy like Saquon, for example, he kind of had to carry the workload over there in with Giants, and I don't think he'll have to do as much of the heavy lifting for Philadelphia as he did with New York because they have a guy again like just like Ravens do in Lamar Jackson, they have a guy like Jalen Hurts who can also run the ball and help out in that area too.
Yeah, I like that signing for Saquon. For the Eagles, it's interesting to me. I don't know if maybe something else was going on with DeAndre Swift. I think they
Mhm.
could have got Swift at a way smaller price tag. I mean, the Bears got him at a smaller price tag. And yeah, look, Saquon is sensationally talented. He is injury prone, but when he plays, he's sensationally talented.
Yep.
Um, I'll say the running back market so far in this free agency has done well for themselves. There was a big, that big controversy, big issue. People don't want to give running backs big contracts. Well, the running backs in free agency this year have pretty good contracts. So hats off to them. Last one I really want to bring up, give a shout out to another in division move. We've seen a lot of them. The
Yep.
the Dolphins getting Jordan Poyer. from the
Yes,
Bills. I
Jordan
think is a
Poyer. Yeah.
really big one. You're gonna pair him with Javon Holland back in that secondary, and that's gonna be a dangerous duo.
Yeah, that is going to be a really really fun tandem to look forward to next season for sure. Let's talk about one of those Boston teams in the SWBA because the Celtics played a really strong, dominant game last night against the Jazz. Jason Tatum scored 38 points in the win, and Boston ended that game on a 20-0 run. That is insane production from both sides of the floor, both offensively and defensively, obviously, to not allow a team to score a single point before you can score 20. It's insane. It's insane. And it really it makes me wonder, you know, just how good can this Celtics team be? I know that they're obviously, in first place in the East right now, and they're a really, really good team over there, obviously. But like 1 to 10 kind of thing. I mean, I'm trying to think how I can pose the question, but I guess just as simple. But how strong is this team, man? Because this is incredible.
I mean,
Incredible game
look,
I
this
saw from
is
them.
this is a really, really good Celtics team. They've got a really deep roster. Derek White, for the past few seasons, has been one of the more underrated players in the SWBA. And then you talk about adding Drew Holiday and adding Kristaps Porzingis, who, yeah, both of them can score, but you talk about their defense when you talk about why the Celtics signed them, and they've been perfect fits. Here's my thing about the Celtics. I think they're going to be good for a while. They've got a good core. I don't love the massive record-breaking contract they signed Jalen Brown to. If we're talking about just in the scope of this year, they're certainly contenders and they have a chance. Uh, but if I'm talking long term, I don't see a world where they keep all of these pieces in place for more than a couple years. Derek White's going to want to get paid. He
Hmm.
deserves to get paid. He's been phenomenal. You talk about Jalen Brown getting that contract. You talk about trying to keep all these guys around. Maybe they do, and if they can, that's wonderful. My other concern is this is no shot on Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is a sensational player. I don't know if I believe in the duo of Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown as your core. Um, I don't know if I believe in it, and maybe that's me being crazy and biased. I don't know, but something about it doesn't yell championship duo to me.
It They are really good together, and I think, like you said, you try to keep this core together for as long as you possibly can, especially in the era of free agency and everybody kind of wanting to do what's right for them and all that other stuff. I do think that this Celtics team is a team that could definitely. It wouldn't surprise me to see them make the finals, at least. At least do that. It would surprise me to see them get that far. Depending on who they face in the finals, it's a whole other question, obviously, to see who they face, because then it becomes a matchup thing. As with all playoff series are, it's one thing to win one game, but to win five to win best of five, best of seven against one team, you're always gonna make adjustments. And I feel like that over the course of a playoff series you'll find ways to slow down one or both Tatum and Brown to make other guys, like you said, like their White, beat you, for example.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is Derek White will beat you. Derek White will beat you. We've seen it time and time again. He can score. And but yeah, I think there's ways to slow down Tatum. I think there's ways to slow down Jalen Brown. More ways to slow down Jalen Brown than there is Jalen Tatum. But yeah, I don't know. Like you said, it's matchup based. It's a young team, so can they stay composed in the playoffs? I mean, they've made the finals before, so I don't want to like not give them enough credit. Um, I don't know. I'm a little lost in the Celtics team because the eye test and everything tells me they're not just contenders, but they're probably favorites out of the East and maybe one of they're favorites in the whole SWBA at the moment. That's what the eye test tells me. My gut test is not feeling them.
Well, look, man, I understand. I understand that. We I'm trying to think how I can word it. We have a long way to go, really, to kind of see what the team made of, because once you get to the playoffs, that's when everything gets amplified. and all the eyes are on you and that kind of stuff. And look, speaking of eyes being on you, there was a huge, huge target on Philadelphia Elite's back last night when they played the Indy Stripes in SimWorld Prep, and they had a historic 12-game win streak coming into the game, and it's gone. History's been made.
Gone. Just
History
like
on
that.
both sides have been made.
Just like
Indian
that.
Stripes ended up winning the game. Nobody really thought that they could do it coming into the game. Philadelphia was too strong, better team on paper. Indy lost both their head coach Jack Shiragane and their best player Dylan Harper just hours before, 24 hours before the game. So they didn't have a lot of time to rebound from everything.
Yeah, I
So
mean, like,
go ahead.
sorry. But yeah, I mean, like you said, it's surprising not for one reason, but for quite a few. I don't think a single person, other than maybe the parents, specifically misread for the Indy Stripes. I don't think anyone would have picked Indy to win this game. It was out of nowhere. Philadelphia's been so hot. I don't
Yep.
even think if they still had Dylan Harper and their coach, that many people would have picked Indy to win this game. But I'll tell you what, B-Ron, what I really like about this win for Indy is not just that they pulled it out, but how well balanced of a game it was for them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, this
Mm-hmm.
was not, JJ Hoops had the game of his life and dropped 30, or Reza Red came back and had the game of his career and had 30 and 20 or something like that.
Right. Right.
Nobody scored over 11 points for this team, and they really did it with their defense. They held Philadelphia to 47 points. They allowed less and less points every single quarter throughout the game, and they played like a team. They played cohesive, offensively, defensively. They looked like a whole new team.
Yeah. They really, really did. They really, really did, man. It's so funny you mentioned that too, because both teams, as the game went on, allowed less and less points. Um, and in that fourth quarter, Philadelphia allowed the least points they allowed all game, which was 7, and Indy allowed 8 in that fourth quarter. So both teams really, really clamped down more and more as the game went on. And when you talk about how big a win this is for Indy, because that's kind of where I want the focus to be is on them. I have to go back and again give credit where it's due to Philadelphia for this run they went on, because that's an insane streak to go on that I don't know if we'll see it topped for a little bit of time here, but yeah, Indy rather did it on both sides of the ball and their defense, especially. Monty Parson was nullified for the most part by Ken Fields, and that was insane to see because we haven't really seen Parson be held in check like that during the streak, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Monte Parson has been sensational. Ken Fields, I mean, you saw his post game interview. He said, somebody had to lock in. They had
Yep.
to contain Monte Parson. There's a lot of things they had to do to win this game or have a chance at
Hmm.
winning this game. And he said, I also got a chance to catch up with him. He told me that he knows he's a guy who can do that. Has he been given a ton of opportunities to make that kind of impact? Maybe, maybe not. But he knew he was a guy who could do that. He knew that they had just lost their top player, their coach, and something was going to give. There were going to be a lot of opportunities to be had. He knew that one thing he could do is he could lock down that post. He can do it. And so he went out there with that mentality, and he did it. He surely did. He did it. I mean, Monte Parsons 6 for 21. That's I mean, that's impressive. That's great defense. He really locked down that paint, and so you gotta
Yeah.
love to see that for a kid who maybe hasn't gotten so many opportunities so far this season. But I'm sure after last night, we'll see him getting a lot more opportunities.
Absolutely, we sure will. Excited to see how Indy fares the rest of the way after this win, and that's going to do for us here on SimWorld today. Thank you all for joining us. As always, we appreciate you very much. Remember, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notify bell so you know when video shows, streams, and games go live for you. Until next time, you guys, remember, SimWorld is the only place where you can see the game, be the game. We'll see you tomorrow.